Okay, so when you think about the internet, what comes to mind? Probably satellites, maybe the cloud, right? Well, the truth is actually way more physical. It's down, deep, beneath the ocean. We're going to dive into the hidden infrastructure that powers, well, pretty much everything in our digital lives. All right, let me throw a number at you. A number that, honestly, it might just blow your mind. 99%. Yep, a staggering 99% of all digital communication that crosses an ocean, that's your calls, your data, even this right here, it's not beaming down from space. It's traveling through actual physical cables lying on the dark, cold ocean floor. It's this massive, incredible network that, let's be honest, most of us never give a second thought to. And this is what it looks like. This map shows you where the internet actually lives. We're talking about roughly 486 different cable systems that are the real backbone of the global internet. You see all those colored lines? Every single one is a super high-capacity data pipeline connecting every continent, well, except for Antarctica. These are the internet's invisible veins, pumping data around the world 24/7. Okay, so what exactly are these things? These digital highways at the bottom of the sea? I mean, they're not just some extension cords, right? Nope. They are incredibly complex systems, engineered to survive in one of the toughest, most unforgiving environments on the planet. The whole system it's an engineering marvel. It really breaks down into two parts. You've got the dry plant. Think of this as the command center on land. It's the landing station that manages all the data traffic coming and going. Then you have the wet plant. That's the part that's actually underwater, stretching for thousands of miles across the ocean floor, with special repeaters along the way to make sure the signal stays strong. So let's zoom in. Right at the very core, you've got these optical fibers. And get this, each one is no thicker than a human hair. A human hair. And they carry all our data as tiny pulses of light. But to keep those delicate fibers safe on the seabed, oh man, they are wrapped in layers. Petroleum jelly, copper tubing, polycarbonate, super strong steel wires, and finally this tough polyethylene sheath. It's like an armored car for data. But for all that incredible engineering, this whole critical system is surprisingly fragile. You'd think the deep sea would be a safe, quiet place, but the biggest threats to these cables, they're very real, and weirdly enough, they usually come from right up on the surface. So what do you think the biggest risk is? Earthquakes, right? Maybe an underwater volcano? Well, this data is just fascinating. It turns out the most common threat is us. People. Fishing nets and ship anchors cause more than half of all the damage to these cables. It's not some crazy natural disaster. It's just the everyday business happening on the ocean that's the biggest danger. And look, we're not just talking about some technical glitch on a spreadsheet here. A single cable getting cut can have absolutely devastating consequences in the real world, especially for countries that have all their eggs in one basket, relying on just one connection to the rest of the planet. A perfect and pretty scary example is what happened in Tonga back in 2022. A huge volcanic eruption literally severed the nation's only internet cable. The whole country was plunged into a digital blackout that lasted for more than a month. Think about that. It messed with everything from disaster recovery efforts to people trying to get money from family overseas. It was a massive wake-up call about just how much we depend on this hidden network. And it's not just accidents we have to worry about. These cables can be targets. We're talking intentional sabotage, like back in 2013 when divers literally cut a cable off the coast of Egypt. Then you've got the whole geopolitical angle with reports of submarines getting a little too close to critical cable routes. And of course, there's always the cyber threat, hackers trying to break into the control systems back on land. So, with the stakes this high, you have to ask, how do we protect these things? Especially since they're almost all privately owned. It's a really complex problem, and it's one that governments are starting to pay a lot more attention to.
The US government, for instance, has this multi-layered strategy. First, they have a group they call Team Telecom. It's a bunch of national security folks who look very, very closely at who owns and operates these cables. They also block equipment from companies they don't trust. They make companies report any outages to the FCC, and they're even paying for a special fleet of repair ships, kind of like an emergency response team for the internet.
And this quote really nails the central issue here. You've got this infrastructure that is almost completely owned and run by private companies, but at the same time, keeping it safe is, well, it's a matter of national security. That line between what's private business and what's a public good is getting really, really blurry. Okay, so protecting what we have is one thing, but that's only half the story, right? We also have to be building for the future. And right now, the future,
Well, it has two letters, AI. The amount of data that artificial intelligence needs is just astronomical. And guess who's leading that charge? The tech giants, of course. Take a look at this Project Waterworth. This is Meta's massive plan for a new cable system that's being designed from the get go for one reason: to power the AI revolution. The whole point is to create tons of high speed connections all over the world.
And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, this one project is going to be over 50,000 kilometers long. Let that sink in. That's longer than wrapping a measuring tape all the way around the Earth. It's going to connect 5 different continents, basically building brand new digital superhighways for innovation. And technologically, this is a huge leap forward. A typical new cable being laid today might have, say, 8 or maybe 16 pairs of those little fibers carrying the data. Project Waterworth, it's being built with 24. That is a massive, massive jump in how much data it can carry. It creates the kind of data fire hose that large-scale AI absolutely has to have. So here we are, laying the very foundation for the next huge technological era, and we're doing it on the quiet, dark bottom of the ocean. It really leaves you with one big question, doesn't it? Our world is being completely rebuilt with AI, and we're in a race against time to build the foundation for it. Are we actually laying these invisible veins fast enough to keep up with our own ambition?